to my Facebook page, Facebook group, and out to YouTube. So depending on what channel you're coming in from, please let us know where you're from, and hopefully the comments will all pull through, and we're going to be able to see the chat going on. Clever technology, but I've just been saying to Sarah before we came on, we're always kind of testing it. It's always a bit awkward because you can't test it until you are live. But yeah, do please let us know in the comments and chat and join in with us as we go along. Well, today I'm bringing you different experts every week on this live, and some of it is to do with video, but a lot of it is actually just helping you guys as online coaches and course creators. We've done all kinds of things, from Facebook ads and messenger bots and branding, and sorting your background and things with interior designers, so you can check out all those if you haven't already seen them. But today we're all about Instagram, and I've got Sarah Wallace, who's going to be coming on and joining us in a second, and she's bringing her 3 C's of a solid Instagram strategy. And I, for one, have been skeptical about Instagram. You know, it's fine as a personal, private thing, but how are we going to get it going and working? So I've got some questions for Sarah, and I know I've already told her what's coming, so she's fully prepared. But she's sitting back there at the minute. Let's bring her out. Hi, Sarah. Great to meet you, and welcome to our live.
Hey, all. It's great to be here, Adrian. Thanks so much for having me.
No, thank you. And we've got different people on. Guys, if you're on and you missed me right at the start, we're broadcasting across Facebook Live, a Facebook group. I've got a little fly in my face, and YouTube. So please chip in your comments. Let us know you're here, and let us know which platform you're on. And it's really interesting and exciting to see where you're all hanging out. But Sarah, so lovely to meet you. Why don't you just introduce yourself to everyone and let us know who you are and what are your superpowers that you've got here. Why are you on with us today?
Absolutely. Well, I am Sarah Wallace. I'm coming at y'all from Louisville, Kentucky. We're getting ready for the Kentucky Derby here very soon. So first racing in Bourbon. You'll have to come out and visit sometime. But yeah, so I help personal brands get known online, either create a brand or polish the one that they already have.
Yep.
And a tool that I have found to be really effective for helping to do that happens to be Instagram.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to that conversation, Adrian.
Absolutely.
But the whole reason why I kind of got started was mainly I work with a lot of female entrepreneurs or somebody who wants to start a side hustle. And the reason being, because when you have financial independence, you have more choices, whether that's in your career, whether that's in relationships, whatever it might be. And so I have found, again, Instagram, but just being able to create a personal brand, to get yourself out there, to get your message out there, help people as well as help yourself, bring in an income, is what I'm passionate about.
Yes.
And what I'm excited to talk a little bit more about today.
So is this, has it always been Instagram that's been your kind of favorite or primary?
You know, personally, Instagram has been my favorite.
Yeah.
So I love it, and I think that is the message too that I always tell people, is that there's never one way to do something. It's whatever you enjoy, and because you're going to do that. I love hanging out on LinkedIn too. I think there's a little bit of a different strategy. But I love LinkedIn as well.
Okay, interesting. See, LinkedIn's, I'm even more reluctant to get on LinkedIn. And actually, I've got someone coming on here to talk to me about LinkedIn in a few weeks' time.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'll have to tune in for that one.
Yeah, do, absolutely. I'll let you know about it. With the same kind of idea, really. I'm genuinely reaching out to you guys and going, right, I need a bit of help here. And I know if I'm thinking it, then there's other people that are in my audience and in my world as well that are also thinking the same thing. So fantastic. So we're all about Instagram today then. I know there's a lot more that you offer, as you've already kind of hinted at, and it's a bigger package that you're doing for people, but Instagram's where we're at today. So let's dive into it. Now you've got these 3 C's for us then. Do you want to run through these? And then, I mean, I've got a list of questions here to ask you about Instagram, and I'm sure we'll get questions coming in as we get going as well. But does that suit you to start off and run through these?
Let's start it. Yes, that works.
Fantastic.
whenever I work with people either inside my group or one-on-one, we talk a lot about the 3 C's and getting those established and understanding. And those 3 C's are creating compelling content,
Yeah. That's your
making
3 there.
I just want that. It's a little extra right there.
Yeah.
So creating compelling content, building meaningful connections, and then Adrian, I feel like your audience is going to like this one, getting in front of the camera, whether that's photos of yourself, and video.
Yes. Excellent. And I've got questions for you about your photos as well, actually, but I'll hold on to that until we get to it. Okay, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when you have a strategy for all of those and you're doing all of those, and I guess to be even more extra, Adrian, I would add consistency to that formula.
Yeah.
But when you're doing all of that regularly, and really whatever platform you want to do that on, you can. But I have found that Instagram is a super easy and super fun way to hit on all of those points and build your personal brand and get known and get your message out there.
Yeah, and I noticed you'd commented on your website saying, you don't even need to have a website and that behind you, or you can just use it and get it out there as a platform.
Yeah. So one of the things that, and like if your people are engaged right now and want to comment, like drop like maybe like a hand raise emoji, but so many people that I have come into contact with or work with don't want to get started because they don't have the perfect website. And I know that I have fallen into that category as well. And it's another reason why I love Instagram. So we either get caught up in perfecting the website, or we don't have the money yet to have somebody help us with our website. And what I always tell people, it's like, yes, eventually that is going to be an important part of your business, but don't not start because you don't have a website. You can still connect with people. You can still share compelling content, and you can still get your own face out there to build that know, like, and trust factor. And you can do it consistently on a free platform like Instagram.
Fantastic. Yeah. So not as a long term, but it just as a way of stopping people getting
like
not stalling it. And it's all right. Someone's just saying your voice is low. Samir's just commented saying that your voice is low. I've turned that up, Samir. Hopefully that's coming through well now. Sorry, Sarah, your voice was a bit quiet apparently.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. We're all good. No, it's not you. I've changed it. It's all right. Yeah.
Okay.
No, we've switched that around. Fantastic. So, sorry, I'm going to scribble these down. Your first then was create compelling content.
Yes.
Yeah.
Create compelling content. So content, is really the fuel behind getting known and making an impact and ideally generating an income eventually. Yeah. That's how you share your message. And it's where you have a chance to insert your own uniqueness and stand out from the crowd when, again, people might say, oh, there's a million fitness coaches or a million other people doing X. The thing that's going to make you stand out is how you share that content. And there's also a couple different types of content that you can share that I also talk about. And one is that value added content. How can you add a helpful tip or maybe even just something funny.
Yeah.
And then also talking about making connections. So content that shares more about yourself, your behind the scenes, which is why I love getting in front of the camera and getting photos. And then promotional or invitational content to either, promote a freebie or even promote your offer. I think that can happen on Instagram if you're doing a good job of those other two, adding value and getting people to, letting people get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah. And is that, are you doing this? Are you using different platforms for different things, or can that all happen through Instagram? Instagram to me is more the personal, definitely the behind the scenes and the getting to know people. You're still putting content out through Instagram as well, because I'm personally not using it that way.
Yes. So Instagram is my main one.
Yeah. I did spot a couple of your IGTV videos, actually. I'm just sort of hesitating because I don't want to come on if that's something we're looking at later. But yeah, I have been kind of going, should I be, videos I'm sticking out on YouTube, should I be putting a version of it over onto IGTV? So you're mixing that all up then and putting everything out onto Instagram. You're not particularly going, right, this goes to Instagram and this goes to YouTube or to Facebook or somewhere else. You think it can all go to Instagram as a...
So I think for me, Instagram is kind of the top of my pyramid. So when I'm sitting down and creating content, I'm a huge fan of batching. So I try and create all my content on one day of the week. And I start with Instagram. And then I think, okay, well, what does my LinkedIn audience then need to know? And usually it's some version of that. I'll usually use the same graphics. I might tweak it a little bit because on Instagram, for example, I know that health coaches aren't necessarily following me on there. It's maybe more sales rep, maybe real estate agent. So like just tweaking those things to resonate a bit more. Yeah. But I start with Instagram for me. Yeah.
And I mean, I noticed there's so much. It's such a massive topic, isn't it? Talking of content, though, I mean, you've got, and I look at, for instance, on your channel, and there's a mix there of some quotes. There are some lovely lifestyle photos. You've got videos going on as well. You talk about a strategy. How are you kind of thinking when you're planning and batching at the start of your week? Is there an order that you put things out in?
Such a good question. Okay, so strategy is so important in all. I should have said that in the content creation phase, because what happens a lot of times, and the mistake that I made in the very beginning, was just putting content out to put content out without a strategy, without an intention behind it. And usually, like, I'm on Instagram now to promote an offer, to either get people on my email list, to join my Facebook group, to work with me. And so all of the content then that I share aligns with that end goal. And so I think that's always the first part. Like, what is your end goal? What do you want people to do? And then you think about, call it the gap content. There might be a better word for it, but it's like, people are here. This is where you want them to be. But then people are right here, right now. What's that gap? What do people need to know to say yes to your offer, to understand that they have a problem, to understand that you specifically are the person to help them with that problem? And so that's why that helpful content, the value content, and a mix of the like behind the scenes and getting to know you content is so important, because I think it gets us to that end goal.
So it's that kind of know, like, and trust that we're building up with people, and getting to see you and relate to you. How do you mix up the... Are you putting this as posts, or is this going as lives again? And stories. And I know there's again, and I don't know if it's a cultural thing. Certainly, my daughter, who's 21, says she never looks at posts. She just scans through stories, and I don't know if that's typical or if that's just a generational.
Well, there's almost two platforms within one. So I do have a post strategy, and I do that because of the ability to bring in new followers. I find posts being really effective with bringing new people in that are relevant by using the right hashtags. And then stories I look at as a way to nurture the audience that you already have. Just because hashtags work a little bit differently. They aren't as easy to get to someone's profile if you land on. So and stories are kind of that fun behind the scenes, a little less put together maybe, but super raw and authentic. And so I think both serve a purpose. Yes. So
fair enough. Yeah. Hashtags. We're not doing very well at sticking to your 3 points, are we? I'm just, every time you're mentioning something, I'm thinking, that's one of my questions. So
Yeah.
how important is that with hashtag? Because again, I know you can go really broad, and then I seem to get a whole load of followers if I'm too broad, but then they all disappear 24 hours later, which is another question. But
Yes.
hashtags then, are you just loosely talking about the things you're talking about in your topic, or is that part of the strategy as well, that you've got a set amount of hashtags that you're posting every time?
So it is a constant experiment, Adrian.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't have the magic formula for
no,
hashtags, but what I will tell you is I do spend, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes a month getting into hashtags and researching a little bit to
okay,
see which ones I want to use for that
yeah,
month. And then usually I'll make maybe 2 to 3 categories, and they don't all have like 30 new hashtags in them. There's going to be a mix, but I
yeah,
want them to have something to do with the topic, as well as what hashtags I think that my ideal client are already following. So like,
yes,
lady boss mindset, girl gang 29, like,
yeah, yeah,
those types that might not directly be relevant to the quote I shared, but I know that my ideal person is probably following. So there's a mix of that. And then there's also a mix of big ones. So I try not to use anything over 2 million, that have 2
okay,
million hashtag followers,
yeah,
just because you get lost. But I do include maybe 2 or 3 of those bigger ones in the mix. So you kind of get that quick adrenaline, quick
okay,
rush to the top. And then
yeah,
the rest I'll kind of sprinkle in like a medium sized category under, in the hundreds of thousands. And then I sprinkle in some that are more niche. Like I'll almost always include something about like where I'm from, like Louisville business owner or something like that, which
right.
obviously less than 10,000. But that's what I found to work. And like you're saying, you kind of you do have to be careful, because you don't want to bring in spammy
Yeah,
followers.
yeah,
So that's why typically, like, I try and stay away from like the super
yeah.
big ones, for that reason. And but again,
But you
it's an
can test
experiment.
that and just sort of see get a
Yes.
feel for it, presumably, then, and say, yeah, something went wrong with this post. What was it? What have I done different? Or,
Yes.
but do you find that? I mean, you know, the quote. A lot of people use the post as quotes, don't they? And just post up quotes and get likes on there. Um, is that the main, is that your primary purpose there, really? Or I see a photo in that do people stop at a nice photo if they don't know you, or is that more people that recognize you and are seeing you, and then carrying on and reading what you've put? Because I know I would flick through and I would see quotes and quotes, and I'm looking at those, or it might be a nice photo that I'm just ticking and liking, but I'm not particularly reading it.
Yeah, and we don't know how many people actually read it, but that's why having a call to action at the end of all your posts of something, like maybe, and you want to keep it simple. Sometimes, like, and I've even made this mistake too, Adrian, but sometimes people will write a great post, very helpful, and then it's like, what's your biggest dream or biggest life goal? And it's like a lot
Right.
to think about. So people
Yes.
maybe won't engage. But if it's like, what's your favorite, like, what are you working on today? Or
Yep.
tag somebody who needs to see this, those type of things tend to work well.
Okay.
Um, and what I can say to that is, it's going to be different for everybody. And that's why I'm such a huge fan of getting into your analytics and your data
Yeah.
inside of Instagram to see what your followers do engage with. And that will tell you, likes, it'll tell you comments, and then it'll also show you how many people save your posts. So I
Okay.
sprinkle in those quotes, Adrian, because they get the highest saves.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. But then the photos of myself also get the most engagement overall. And I think, again, going back to that know, like, and trust factor, people
Yeah.
see my face, which most people do not like, and I don't like it either. But that's when you look at your stats, that's how you'll know, like, well, shoot, I'm going to have to do more of that, because that's what's getting the most engagement, or maybe
Yes.
not, or maybe something else is. But when you go inside your insights, you'll get a better idea of what you should be posting more of.
Okay. But I like, before we come on to the second one, I do like the whole idea of the strategy, really, because I'm thinking we're terrible, really, and that I'm going, right, I need to post something today. What will it be? You know, what do I do that's not just sitting here doing the same old thing every day? I'm sitting at my computer again. so I am trying to use my stories to just go, like I just set these lights up earlier on and I've mounted them on my roof now. And so I'm thinking that's the sort of behind the scenes bit that people may want to watch.
Yes.
And I've got a massive question here. I'll kind of read that. You carry on a second.
Well, I was going to say one tip, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but one tip to share with that, like a specific tangible tip that I do that I have found works that maybe your audience wants to try is the absolute worst to sit down and especially if you're doing it daily and see the blank screen with like the blinking cursor. So one tip I have is to keep a Google Docs file for all of your content ideas. And what's so awesome about that is that it's available on your desktop. And then if you're on the go, you pull it up on your phone. So that when you sit down on your content creation day, you at least have something. And then also what I'll keep track of is like you just said, any story ideas, like what's going on next week that I might be able to create an interesting story from, or what message do I want to share that I could tie in what I'm doing. So again, that way there's some intention, there's some planning behind it, which takes so much pressure off actually having to think of something new every day. And
I'm doing this with video content. Ironically, you know, I do this and I kind of lay out what I'm going to be doing, making videos on for YouTube videos, how-to videos and things. So I've just done a review on some microphones. I'm doing a review on these lights at the minute. So I guess, it almost comes in, and it should. I'm seeing them as two separate places and two separate things, really. I can see that does need to all be pulled together. So we can have a go at that and try laying some of that strategy out. I think. Planning the whole lot out. Yeah, I can see that. We'll have a go. Sarah, what was that second point? We talked about content then and creating content and having a bit of a strategy. What was that second one we said about?
So building meaningful connections.
Yes. Okay.
And this one, Instagram's my favorite.
Yeah.
For this very reason, because, I get really defensive of Instagram when I see these posts kind of bashing social media and like it's such a time drain, like comparison. I'm taking a break from it. And I think when you are super clear, and I struggle with this too, but it's definitely helped when you're super clear on where you're going. It really helps to not let that comparison set in when you're scrolling. And here's a pro tip: if there's somebody who makes you feel not your best, or you get triggered by, we can unfollow them or you can mute them. So we have 100% control of what we see in our feed. And then the second thing I'll say to that is that it's social. It's social media, and we're supposed to be social. So a lot of times people post and ghost. And I'm sure your audience, or a lot of them, have heard the cocktail party analogy, where we wouldn't walk into a cocktail party and be like, hey, I'm selling lotion or whatever, and then just stand still, right? We would have little mini conversations, build relationships, build connections, add value, hopefully. And so when we treat social media like that, it tends to work for us and not necessarily against us, being a time drain and where we get pulled into being comparing ourselves. And I was also going to add to that we can also connect, like you and I have done on social media, Adrian. I know we're part of the same group, but it's also a way just to, if you're open to being social and leaving meaningful comments and engaging with people, you can make connections like this. And then you can also make connections with potential clients that end up working with you later. If you go back to that, you're adding value, your intention is there to serve and to help and to package your personal brand in a way that is easy for people to consume, those relationships get to be a lot more meaningful and productive for everybody.
Yeah, totally see that. I'm just going to ask you something, but guys, there's a lot of you. It looks like we've got a lot of eyes on here. Not a huge amount of questions coming in. Some specific ones that I will come to in a minute, asking me about the camera and things like that, and some strategies here that we've been asked. I think we've kind of answered that actually. But guys, please, we're on here live. Do ask any questions you've got about Instagram that you would like some help with. I'm just thinking. I mean, I can definitely see that we've got. I mean, I did exactly that, you know, when we initially connected and I'm chatting away and I thought, I need to go and check out Sarah and instantly where am I going to go, you know, and it's amazing actually, you know, I can see your son and I can sort of build this picture up and there are little connection points and you get, I can relate to that. And yeah, that's, and yeah, it's not like the old days of trying to do business and you picked up a phone and spoke to somebody or sent a letter or, you know, even an email. We are so transparent, aren't we? And it's, I mean, is that a way? I notice you've got 2 accounts. You've got a personal and a business. Is that right? But your posts seem to be very similar on both. Is that a strategy?
So I'm going to be honest, Adrian. No.
Okay.
We had talked a little bit before this, but I'm going through a little bit of a rebranding as we speak, because what I have found out is I started a personal account, and if you scroll to the very beginning of that personal one, there's probably some really horrible photos and embarrassing pictures. But I just used it
I'm gonna go
for
and do
personal
it
reasons. I'm going to go clean some things up. But I had that personal one, and then I started my business, my Her Exchange account, and that's where my ideal client is. That's where I spend a lot of my time.
Okay, yeah.
But at the beginning of this year, I realized, I'm speaking to everybody about quit hiding out, get yourself visible, get out there. And here I had this audience, this warm audience of friends and family that I was almost, I don't want to say embarrassed, but I mean, I guess a little bit of like, what are they going to say when I show up at Christmas? Like, are they going to ask me about what I'm doing? And so I didn't really post anything business-wise on that one. And then I thought, you know what? I need to walk the walk. So I did a mini campaign about kind of what I was doing on that account. It's really hard to come up with 2 strategies for very similar brands. So I don't do a lot on that one, and that one's probably going to be going away.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't know if there was something very clever there that you were going to say, that's my secret. I mean, I find that I accidentally went live earlier thinking it was my business one and it was on my personal account. And of
course, have done that before.
All my friends start coming on and watching it, and I'm thinking, why are they watching it? And then it throws me because all of a sudden I kind of feel like, I'm not talking. It's a different audience of people.
Yeah.
And then Rachel realised that I'd just put it on my personal one, and that was so yeah. I'm like, this is getting complicated if I'm trying to pull. But I notice even like James, I think he only really uses his personal one, doesn't he? For James Webmore, is that his personal one that he's? So do a lot of people just use their personal one as a business?
Yeah, and that's what I'm slowly trying to transition to with Facebook. Also is just to kind of, because again, like I have a very, now that I'm like intentional, it's like, I don't know if posting photos, it's great to keep in touch with family and that type of thing. But now I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. And so these are tools that I want to pull in to help me do this thing. Yeah. And Facebook is another one of those. I think for me, I have this business account and then I have this personal one, but like, at the end of the day, I am the brand of the business one. Yes. And so it's just kind of, I am this person already. So I'm almost having to repeat myself. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit soon.
No, fair enough. No. I like I say, I just didn't know if that was going to be some great secret as to where I'm going wrong.
No great secret.
Well, that's the beauty of this, because we are kind of living it out in front of everybody, aren't we? So what's going on really is
Yeah, this
being
is
seen.
it. This is what's happening.
Yeah. Excellent. Right, so let's come on to the camera one, the number 3 then. Tell me again, what was that? What were we calling that?
Getting in front of the camera. I'm kind of cheating, but it's
Yeah.
a C. It ends with a C. Getting in front of the camera.
Okay.
And this one, hopefully, I won't have to convince you on this one, but I feel so strongly that getting your face out there, especially if you're a personal brand, and even if you're a company, and I'd say even if you're a company less than 10 people, you probably, as the owner, as the founder, are still probably the face and voice behind that company. I don't want to put a blanket statement, but more times than not, you probably are. So in those situations, and that's what I'm talking about here, I think that there's also a strategy you can do that for bigger companies, but we'll keep it to personal brands for right now, is people, there's a lot of people doing the same things that we're doing. There's, especially with being virtual, we don't have that interaction. Maybe we would at like a workshop or a live in-person event. And so it's harder to build a trust. Do I like you? Do I know you? Am I going to give you my money? And I think that video especially is such a great way and speeds up the process to do all of those things for you. And I think Instagram is an incredible place to do that because of stories, because of lives. I mean, IGTV you can throw in there too. And when they see your face, they see like, oh, she has a dog. Or, oh, I like his car, or he always gets, he's talking about his bike or whatever. There starts to become things that become unique to you and you get known for, in addition to just your helpful content that you're sharing. It's kind of the pizzazz, the sparkle that makes you you.
Yeah. And I love that. And I think I can think back 5 years or so, I suppose, when Twitter was really the thing that was ruling, and a lot of people were very much just posting quotes and things all the time, and you actually think, is there somebody behind this, or is this just being outsourced and somebody's doing it? Well, you can't do that with that video, can you? It really is you that's showing up. And I think, if all I saw was a whole load of glossy photos of you and those quotes, I might think, is she really doing this? But when you show up on video, or the very raw kind of photos that is you there, it's not maybe from a photo shoot, but it's a nice, it's a selfie style. I'm going, okay, this has happened today. Yeah, this is real. This is live, and I can see that that's a big appeal to people.
It is, yeah. Because I just think about how I think, how I act myself, and those things that are important to me with the people that I would think about doing business with, or wanting to follow along with and build, going back to the second one, like, are they real to build a meaningful relationship with? And so that helps. I will say too, the professional photos, I heard you mention, I think why I love Instagram is because you can do all the things. And your feed tends to be more permanent and lasting, and people tend to get obsessed sometimes with like, does it all look good? I'm less worried about that. But what I do think is equally important as being raw and authentic and doing some of those selfies and behind the scene videos is to also, however it is that you want to show up, package that in a way that is easy for your audience to consume. And what I think is great about professional photos, and you don't need to do it every day or every month, but it shows that you invest in yourself. And so I think that makes it easier for somebody else to be like, okay, like she invests in herself, time, but also money. And so, I can get on board with investing in them as well.
I totally agree. And that fits very much with, my philosophy anyway, with the whole video. And that's, I'll come on to that in a second. It's partly my reluctance with Instagram. But I do think there's something about that professionalism that says, this person's taking this serious, they're a professional. And like you say, I think mixing it up is great. But but if all you were doing was quick selfies, but even with that, there's a way to do them well, isn't there? And there's a way to really look bad on angles and shooting into the sun and those kind of things. And yeah, no, that's kind of that's been one of my reluctance is that a word? That's partly why I've been reluctant to get on Instagram is I use a camera for everything rather than a phone, and I've done comparisons when I've put them side by side, and I've been in exactly the same space here. An eCam that I'm using allows me to do that, to literally split the screen with my camera, my webcam, and my phone. And there's a big difference between it.
The quality?
And yeah, so for me I'm having to, part because of what I do,
Yeah.
is this kind of high standard to the video image and the photos even. Actually, where for some people, you mentioned right at the start, for some people getting on camera is a big deal. For me, it's actually getting on camera using a phone or something rather than and being okay with it, and the sound coming through the camera rather than it being through a mic that's all these kind of things. So for me, it's kind of letting go of that professionalism a bit.
Yes.
And they're the hardest ones for me to do, is actually to put it up and go, yeah, I'm okay to put that up.
Yeah, I get that. I don't think that you're alone at all. And but people would be really, I feel like people will gobble that content up. They'd be like, what's he doing? What?
Yeah,
yeah. That's so interesting.
And let me see behind the scenes. What are you looking at? Where is this space you're working in? Because all we see is this brick wall. And that's kind of where I am trying to get better with this. Like I say, I am trying. We are on a journey.
I understand. Believe me.
But I do get frustrated with these. Is this just the thing on Instagram? This whole kind of all of a sudden you get followers, and then the next thing, I just gained 10 followers. Oh no, I haven't. I'm back to the same number. Do a lot of people play a game of this, that it is follow expecting a follow back, and then they, is it software or something that people do? Not that I want to do it, but
I'll be honest. I don't know. There is software. There are bots. There's social media managers that people might hire to do that, and to leave like a generic comment so that you might follow them back. And like that's something that we can't control.
No.
And so I think, okay, well, what can I control? And I can control my content, and I can control how much I engage and how I present myself. And then at the end of the day, and I want to do a video on this, so I might need your help. I might be reaching out to you later, but I want to go into my local theater downtown, and I want to take a photo of the theater, and I think that there's might be like 350 people that can fit in there. If I was on stage, I would be nervous, and that would be a huge crowd to me. But we get so obsessed with the follower amount. If somebody had 350, well, that's really small, for a lot of people who have 200,000.
Yes.
But imagine what you would say to that audience that was just, if you were in a room with 350 people, that'd be huge. And so I think if you don't get so obsessed, and it's hard because the number's right at the top of your follower count, and focus more on who's engaging with you, your engagement rate, which you can get by dividing. I won't get too dirty, but you can look at that into your insights and think, okay, the average engagement rate is about 3%. I'm doing 7%. Wow, it's interesting. Or this post did 7%. And I'm going to do more of that. So it's less about followers and more about those meaningful connections, which sounds woo-woo, but that's your tribe. That's the people, and they're going to tell their people, and it builds maybe more slowly. But it's more intentionally and more with the people that you want to bring into your community.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. But are you looking at people that are following you? Are you looking at and then choosing who to follow back? Or
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I do. So if somebody,
it's hard to somehow pull out the authentic, the real ones that actually you do want to follow back without spending hours going through these things, and then realize, is someone that's just full well
just
going to
there.
cancel following you 24 hours.
Yeah. Yes, I get that. One thing that I will do is I'll notice, who's watching my stories, because you can see
Okay.
that. And I'll see, you start to see the same people, and it's like, you know what, I'm not following him, or I'm not following her. Like, let
Okay.
me get in there and see, like, what are they doing? Oh, okay, like that might be a name
Okay.
of connection. And it takes time, but that's something that maybe it doesn't have to
Yeah.
take a ton of time. You don't have to create your list all in one day. Maybe it's just, two people I recognize, I really want to follow them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just because someone follows you doesn't mean that you have to follow them back.
You don't feel a pressure, because it used to be
Yeah.
sort of the etiquette was that if somebody, you're thinking, oh, I need to follow them back. Yeah.
Not at all.
No, they'll follow you whether you're following them back or not, I guess, if they're enjoying your
Yes.
content you're putting out is more the point.
Yes.
This is great. There's loads we're covering. We feel like we're a bit all over the place, but that's kind of and it's me throwing all these questions. It's such a big topic, isn't it? It's hard to. Hopefully, guys are enjoying it. We've still got plenty of eyes on, which is great. Michael looks like you're on the first time on YouTube, Michael. I think by the looks of that. I think commenting normally over on Facebook. He's just saying it's a new thing. He believes much better, but bless him, he did just finally he's seen where to put his comments. Michael, fire away any questions about Instagram if you like. Others that are on here, yeah, keep the questions coming. We're starting to pull things to a close, and if you've got questions about what we've covered or things that we haven't covered, and you've got questions, then throw them in. What are your thoughts, Sarah, on IGTV? Is it staying? Do you think? Are people kind of using it?
I think it's we'll see. If there's somebody that I'm really into, I'll, check out their profile, and then they have their IGTV circle, and I just okay, like they're using all the things,
Yeah.
which Instagram loves when you use all the things. And I'll get caught, I love Jasmine Star. So she has
Yes,
high
yeah.
quality, great IGTV videos. I will watch hers. And the great thing about IGTV as of a few weeks ago is that when you upload a video, it now shows up in your feed and shows up in
Okay.
your profile. So,
Right.
or your grid. So you get more eyes on it,
Okay.
which is great, because before it was just over here, right?
Yeah, when it first sort of came out, there was this little icon, I think, wasn't there? And to sort of go, I don't understand how this works or how we find.
How does
I was
that work?
approached. Yes. It was Panasonic, who I do work with, or Lumix, and I know they were kind of looking at this, and we were just sort of trying to work out where to use it. And they, someone there was saying, I think a lot of the big players are not quite sure how to use this, and just still finding their feet with this new technology, and so they're using it very much as a Q&A type thing with customers, an opportunity to come on and do like a live, and so folks like myself are due to be coming on as ambassadors, and that sort of opportunity to talk about things. So yeah, I'm curious what you think, how it can be used really. I've certainly done it where I've posted a longer video, and then what I like is when I can do ads, you can link to an IGTV, can't you?
Yes.
So that's quite a nice way to use it. But maybe I ought to check Jasmine's out actually, because it's, like I say, I'm getting back into doing weekly videos over on YouTube. So I guess the same thing I can crop and be using on here, and should be filling up a channel instead of trying to point people off to another channel.
Yeah, and I think that for me is how I'm trying to build my IGTV. I'm trying to use it as a library. So
Yeah.
I would recommend it. And the thing is, and maybe you have something different, but don't do it. Don't not do it. Post something because you don't have like a Jasmine Star quality video.
Yeah.
I would start with an intro, even if it's, 4 or 5 minutes about your why, who you are, just letting people know. And then the rest of the content, I would think about what are some of these frequently asked questions, like you're saying, Adrian, that the camera group is doing, that you can answer. And then rather than having to repeat yourself, you just can direct people to your library, or you can copy the link and send it really easily. And it's there. You don't have to keep saying it. And then when you talk about it, so if that's a frequently asked question, that's probably going to be one of your staple pieces of content or themes. And you might say something about it in May. You might say something else about it in June. And every month you say a little tip or whatever about it. You can use the scroll, link it back to the video so they can learn more. And that's just another way to extend the shelf life of that.
Yeah, that's good. No, I haven't been looking at it as... I haven't been considering Instagram really for... my main videos, my main content, the how-tos and things like that. But yeah, it will be very easy to repurpose those videos and this be another platform to put it out to. So yeah, I'm brilliant. There's my big takeaway anyway. And then I like that idea that the little ones, because I always think, again, with Instagram, it's you can't put the links in there other than link in the bio. You know, so that's frustrating. You can't go, come over and check out this YouTube video, or, you know. So
yes, well, and I don't know how effective this is, but if anybody in your audience has a podcast as well, like I've seen James do it. There's software called Wave.co, I think, and Wave has 2 V's. Have you heard of it?
No.
You can pull audio from your podcast. Obviously for IGTV, you only get 10 minutes, but you can pull it and you can do like the fun little audio graphic, maybe put a quote or a photo. Yeah. And then I've seen people use it, and I do this for one of my clients, put it in IGTV because you have the link. So then they can link it, go back to the podcast. Again, I don't know how effective that is right now. We're still playing with that. But that's another way to use IGTV if you have a podcast. Okay.
So we're not going to ignore it and assume it's disappearing and was something Instagram tried and we'll have a go at building it up. Michael's just commented on there and put he probably needs a basic course to take him to beginner level. So Michael, maybe you need to just follow along with Sarah a bit, and actually just if you look up Sarah, we'll put a link in the description here to Sarah on Instagram and on Facebook. I think we've already got you linked in Facebook on our page. Keep in touch and just see what Sarah's up to, and I think constant sort of tips and tricks will be coming your way.
Yes.
Bradley's just put on here, he mentioned earlier that he was enjoying it, but then he's just put, is there a mix you suggest? I've heard everything from posting at least once a day to 3 times a day. So far, I've been adding my images to my story after each upload. Need to work with video. Bradley, you're big on video. You should be taking away the same thing that I'm doing with your YouTube channel and posting these up to IGTV. Maybe we should challenge each other. But what are we thinking? Times? We haven't actually said that, have we? About times? Is once a day, 3 times a day, or is there not a formula like that?
Okay, so this is what I've experienced personally. And again, I think if you just go into whatever you do as an experiment and see what works for you and your audience, but give it a try. So I would not post more than once a day. Okay. No way. And I may not even post every day, because since Instagram changed to the algorithm where it's no longer in chronological order, but instead, based on what you like, what you engage with the most, you're going to get seen. So like for me, I still see people who posted something 2 days ago, like it'll still show up in my feed. So not only do you not want to bombard your audience, but you want to make it as easy as possible for you as well. And so me, and 3 times a day, that's just a lot. So, 1 time a day would be great. And then I use like a scheduling tool to schedule my post out. I like Planoly. There's a lot of great ones. Okay. And I do that so that I can instead dedicate that time to going in on Instagram and engaging with the comments that I've gotten, and to proactively engage with other people that I'm following, or find new people. You can allocate your time better that way. Yeah. Fair enough. So is this scheduling at the start of the week when you were talking about coming up with posts and batching? So you've got key ones that you schedule out right through the week? Yes, I do.
Very good.
Yes.
And how do you
It's just
fit in with stories with that? How does that work with stories?
such a good question. So I use that Google Docs to kind of keep track of what
Yes.
ideas, and so I know what I'm going to be sharing. And I'm thinking, is there like a fun story or a tie-in that I could use to what I'm sharing in
Ah,
the feed? But
I
sometimes
love
not.
it.
Sometimes it's just like, oh, I know I'm going to be going on a trip, so let me talk about this. Or I'm going to be so if you have any photographers that follow you, they could take you behind the scenes. I'm getting ready to do this photo shoot. I'm at the photo
Yeah.
shoot. These are lessons learned.
Yeah.
So that would be a great story. And it doesn't always have to connect with your posts. It's just kind of how can this be fun, entertaining, and
Yeah.
again, fill that gap where people are and where they need to be to say yes to me.
Brilliant. No, that's great. It makes a lot of sense. But again, it's being strategic with it, not just me randomly thinking, oh, I haven't done anything today. Let me do it while I'm walking the dog and waffle. Yeah. Quick question. Almas has posted over on YouTube. If posting once a day, what is a good time? I know what you're going to say. Testing.
Test it. Yeah, it totally depends. There's tools out there. Like there's an app called literally When to Post.
Oh, really?
And who is the gal? You'll know her, Adrian, Sunny, who does YouTube.
It is Sunny Lenarduzzi, yeah?
Yes. So she recommended this, and she said it's down to like the minute for her.
Oh, really?
So this app will give you 3 times to post throughout the day.
Based
And
on your previous ones, is this? Or
yes,
yeah?
it takes into account like your followers when they're on.
Oh, really?
I don't know all the ins and outs. I use it for a client. I'm gonna be playing around with it more for myself. But I have a time in the morning that I usually post.
Yes.
And I want to play around with something later in the day, maybe something in the afternoon, just to see the
Yeah.
engagement. But play around with it. If you're not getting a ton of engagement, maybe switch up the time.
Yeah.
And maybe test out that app.
Almas, it would be dependent very much as well on. I mean, you're in Kentucky. I'm in England. We're on different time zones. So actually, trying to get clear on who your audience is, where they are, what time zone they're in, will play a big part in that. And actually, I can't be hitting your evening because that's middle of the night to me. So there's a sense in which you've got to do the best you can, I guess.
Well, and that's such a great point. I have a client who lives in France, and she noticed her engagement went up a lot when she started to use a scheduling tool that posted
of course,
at 2 p.m. her time.
Right, yeah.
But then she just had to make sure, at some point get back in there and engage and respond to comments and that type of thing. But it went up when she changed it because her audience was mainly in the US.
Very interesting. Yeah. So that's the other. I'm thinking of those tools being good for batching and being able to send it out and forget it. But actually, yeah, Delan, I've never really considered. I'm glad you brought this up, Almas, because I've never really considered the time of day. I just sort of do it and post whenever I think about it. Yeah. Good. Melissa's asked, I'm not sure we're going to be able to answer that. I'm not 100% sure of the question. What's the conversion rate for IG fans to customers? Do you know people that have come? I'm assuming Melissa's meaning people that have found you and have become a fan on Instagram to then follow through and become a customer.
Oh, an Instagram total in all of Instagram?
Well, no. What's the conversion rate for IG fans to customers? I'm assuming she's meaning in your experience.
Oh, okay. Yes, I see what you're saying. Great question. So right now I have a business really just on Instagram and LinkedIn and a little bit of email marketing, which is like so embarrassing though. I need to work on that a lot better. So it's working for me, and I'm bringing in customers for me. I filled a small group coaching program, and then I take one-on-one clients, really just using those 2 platforms.
Yeah.
And I think again, and it doesn't happen. It didn't happen in a week. I'm coming up on almost a year
Yeah.
before I've kind of gotten into the groove and understand what my audience wants, and to get
Yeah.
comfortable and feeling like
Yeah.
an authority to present it to them in these different ways
Yes.
that have scared me before, like video.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And exactly the same has happened for me on YouTube. And I mentioned before we came on, most of my customers, when I talk to them on a support call when we get going, and I was just say, where did you first see me? And they'll say, oh, I saw one of your videos. And it can be really random. Some of them are on how to build a website on Kajabi and things that I've done videos on, but that was the first place they saw me and liked my video, and then started checking out what else I did and realized I did this, and there you go. And I think that is, so if your channel is Instagram, I'm guessing people are doing exactly the same, and thinking, yeah, I could do with some of this, and getting those skills and that help. Yeah.
And the cool thing about Instagram is the DMs. So somebody can so easily reach out.
Yes.
I'd like to know more. How do you work with people, or whatever. And it's not like they got to dig for my email address, or
Yeah.
it's really easy. And I'm not saying that this should be your only tool.
Yeah.
But out of all the social media platforms, it's works the best for me for a lot of different reasons. But again,
Yeah.
and also, I've gone all in on Instagram for the most part.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you kind of
So
got to,
that
haven't you, if
helps
this is what you're teaching?
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. Michael, bless him. Michael's posting here about 3 times. I think he's worried that we're missing him. Michael's asking about the scheduling app that you mentioned. What was the name of that? The one that Sunny?
Oh, when to post.
When to post. There you go,
the
Michael.
app.
Have a look for that. If you type in when to post app, I'm sure something will pop up. If not, Michael, we can come. We'll look back down these comments afterwards, and we can just pop a link in there for you. But yeah. All the questions come in at the end, don't they? You're not needing to race away, Sarah, are you?
No.
I'm sorry. Melissa's put, I'm trying to work my IG more and hashtag a lot of things. Do you promote the posts? So can you boost out from within Instagram then? I know when I've done Facebook ads and you choose Instagram as a location, I'm thinking that's what Melissa means. So do you have the option like you would on Facebook that it says boost?
To boost the post, I don't have any experience with the paid part of it.
No. So it's not needed then.
I don't think that it is. If you're doing maybe a special launch, I know that there's a strategy around that includes Facebook ads, obviously, and you can do some cool things in your stories. I am not the best to give advice on that, the paid part.
That's fine. Well, that's good to know in a sense, because if you're not using it, then I think that probably answers Melissa's question about not needing to be using it. I'm just sorry. Do you know what? There's a whole load of questions over here inside my group. 20 comments that aren't coming through. Sorry, no, it isn't. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Yes, 20 comments. Tamika, sorry. Laurie's on there. Simon's on there. Simon's asked the same thing, how many posts per day? So we've just kind of covered that. Laurie had put she'd been struggling with keeping personal and business straight as well, so that's good. When you batch, do you have a tool to publish throughout the day, week? What was you mentioned it, didn't you? An app?
I love Planoly.
Planoly.
Yes, Planoly.
Okay.
Because they have a desktop feature and they also have it on your phone. So when I'm batching, it's like, I don't want to be typing everything. So I like it. I know that Later also has a desktop and an app version as well.
Okay. Brilliant. Thank you. That's all right. That's a shame. This is the downside. And I said right at the start, guys, we're testing this on Restream. And this was my problem last time, is that I was getting comments in from my page and from YouTube, but I wasn't getting them in from the group. And I'm not seeing all the comments on here now. I'm only seeing the top 4 comments there, and it tells me there are 20 comments. So I'm very sorry if you've posted in here and I haven't seen it. Then I will make sure I'm going to come straight off of here and go into the group. We'll need to, Sarah, you'll have to come and join the group as well, and then you can.
I will.
You can spot these and see what's going on. Melissa said, "Okay, makes sense. Thank you. Great info." So I think, yeah. You've mentioned a couple of apps and things. Are there any other cool tools that you use that you think make this a lot easier? I know you mentioned on your website about Canva. You're a big fan of Canva for your images.
Yes. I like Canva. I like a tool called Open, literally Open. It has some really beautiful templates. What I will say, because I've made this mistake, is, and I've learned this from James Wedmore a little bit, and talking about activities, like income producing activities. I love Canva, and I can get caught in Canva for hours. So what I've done is worked with a graphic designer to create 4 templates for me that I try my best to stick to.
Okay.
And that's an awesome way to use Canva to help you create some templates that you just plug in for the most part and don't have to spend time, unless you're a graphic designer. And then that's a different story. Yeah. I am not. I don't get paid to be, so I'm like, I got to get out of there. But I love Canva and I love Open. Can I tell you one more tool that I love?
Please, yes.
Okay, so it's kind of an indirect tool, but I use it on a regular basis. So there's a tool called Record It. It's red. It's a red button on the App Store. And the thing I love about this, and there's lots that do it, is you can record your screen, your phone screen. And I use this a lot during my live videos, because there's a way to turn just the talking head on your live when you're in Instagram to almost like a presentation form where you're just a little box in the top corner.
I saw you doing that. I watched your IGTV earlier.
Oh, okay.
Where you were doing that when you were showing how to do the photos along the bottom.
Yes.
Is that what that was?
And I love it because when and this just happened a couple months ago, Instagram now allows you to bring in photos and videos into your lives. And so sometimes I'll just have like a photo of like 3 bullet points that I'm going to be talking about. And I think that switches up the lives a little bit. So it's not just a talking head. And if somebody joins mid stream, they're not clueless.
Yeah.
But the video part, and even bringing in photos, I think could be really fun and really boost your engagement. So one idea is, like, if you have any realtors on here, like to take a video of the house that they're trying to sell and show the video while they're commenting on it, maybe on their live. If you're a photographer, maybe you could do like a pre-show of like, these are the photos I took. This is why I took them. These are some tips.
Yeah.
If you're a graphic designer, you could do like an unveiling of your website and take a video of the website and kind of walk through people. So there's lots of fun things that you can do to make the lives more than just you.
And I'm just thinking actually, and I can demo it here, although I'll mess it up. Well, I love Ecamm for doing lives. I know we were talking beforehand about Be Live. One of the things with Be Live is you can't pull photos in unless they're in your photo library, your personal library, which I think is crazy. It just doesn't work. You might as well say you can't bring photos in. But I can literally, in Ecamm here, for instance, drag and drop an image over the front of this. So if I'm doing a live, this doesn't go out to Instagram, but if I'm doing a YouTube or a Facebook, or if anyone still is on Periscope, I can go out to all of these channels and I can do this, and I can drop a video and I can drop a photo in. And I'm just thinking, actually, what I've done in the past is maybe I've had a quote off Facebook, somebody's comment or a thank you back, and I've just sort of highlighted it and I've posted that up as an image. And I'm thinking that might be something as well, that you could go, hey, look, I just got this great quote, I just got this great testimonial back in, and you could actually bring that image in then and be talking over it and see it. Or a video, I'm getting video testimonials in. I'm actually pushing my members to make me some video testimonials, partly as a challenge to get them practicing. But but video testimonials are amazing. So that again, then if you can do that and bring a video in, you could kind of be talking about it and be saying, you know, rather than me sitting here telling you why you should be doing this, here's someone to tell you, and swipe that in then. And
yes.
So yeah, I like that. I can see how, didn't realize that was an option. And I think well, there's a lot of pressure to try and be ahead of the curve, but to be able to bring new things in like that and let people see, you're going to catch their eye, aren't you? And you be a bit different rather than just doing the same as everybody else when they're swiping through. One of the things I've been doing is actually taking videos, and I've got a couple of YouTube videos on this actually, on how to do professional quality IGTV video, which is then cropping in at this 9:16 rather than the 16:9 format.
Oh, I need to watch that.
yeah. Well, it's one of those things. I get comments every few days of people going, "Why aren't more people seeing this? This is amazing." And I'd only just put it up just as IGTV or Instagram announced that you could then put IGTVs on the side and do landscape instead of only portrait. So I'm like, you've just made my video redundant. But I still do think for most people to be able to just swipe through, you don't necessarily want to move it around. I wonder what that noise was. It's my dog. You don't want to be able to, you know, so yes, to get this kind of image straight in at the same quality as I'm doing YouTube videos and things.
Yes.
So yeah, and so people are liking that, and just how to do it and how to edit it and get that format, because you can't do it in most software, or not obviously. But yeah, Michael just put great introduction for him. Many thanks. Melissa put great info. So yeah, really appreciating this, and we ought to be wrapping it up, I guess. Any final thoughts or anything really as a high level tip for people to go away and get started with?
You know, we kind of already touched on it. I think the biggest thing is just knowing why you're using Instagram. It can be really easy to get caught up in like, I got to be on IGTV. I got to be doing lives. I got to be posting once a day. But just to stop for just a moment and think, why am I using this tool, any tool? Yes. And to remember that it is simply a tool to get you to your end goal. And when you treat it like that, it becomes a little less stressful and you feel much more in control. And maybe you don't use everything in Instagram, especially if this, Michael, maybe this might be like, whoa, I got to be doing all the things. No. Yeah. Maybe just I'm going to post consistently. That's what I'm going to start with. And then I'm going to add in phase 2. So because you can get stressed out, and it's not something to stress yourself out at. You are in control, and it's a tool to get you to where you want to go. Yeah, and I think that one of the big takeaways for me is to see this as testing, testing ground, and not to, like you're just saying, not to think that you've got to have this perfect and be afraid to post things, but post them up, but expect to, some of it's going to stick and some won't, to then be able to go, okay, let's go back through it and let's actually look at what got engagement. And so that's been a biggie. And I think the strategy, I hadn't really considered that. I am looking at this as like a personal social posting thing, which is obviously what it's primarily there for. But actually to look at it strategically and go, right, we're doing a thing on teleprompters at the minute, for instance. That's a topic that's coming up and a challenge I'm looking at doing. So what could I be doing that is around that is leading towards it then? Yeah, that's more the thinking. Yeah, how can you use it to amplify what you're already doing and what you want to say? It's all right. Sorry, I'm just looking at the comment that's popped up down below. Laurie's just put there. Thank you, Sarah. Why am I using this tool? Excellent perspective. Brilliant. So, yes, people have been really enjoying this. So, Sarah, presumably, if anybody wants to know more about you, then it's a case of following and getting into Sarah's world. Yeah, come hang out. I'm at her_exchange right now on Instagram. I feel like we have a good community over there. We have fun. Brilliant. And I try and keep it a good mix of fun tips and behind the scenes and that type of thing. So hopefully you'll learn a thing or two if you join us over there.
Yeah, thank you. Christine saying thank you as well. I mean, I looked at your website and I just read that opening sort of, the paragraph at the top there, and I love that idea that it's a community. You're all in there together. You're giving each other the tips and lessons as you're going through, and I love that. I think that's how this should be really. That we're all just building these little communities that our people are attracted to us, and we're just helping them on this journey together. So yeah, I love what you're doing. Thank you so much for your time. We've been just over an hour, so really appreciate that you've taken the time to be here. And thank you guys. And if you're watching this, or, whether you've been on live or watching on the replay, please do keep posting comments in, and we'll keep you updated. Kenneth's just saying, hey, Adrian and Sarah. So thanks ever so much. Post away in here and we'll do our best to get back to you. But thanks ever so much, Sarah. Really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you for having me, and thanks to your community for hosting me and for all the comments and questions. I had a great time.
You're going to have to jump in here now. And, yeah, we're both going to be going down it now and jumping back in through the comments. Thank you so much. And I guess, how about if people are suddenly coming over and finding you on Instagram? Guys, why don't you give Sarah a shout out and just say that you saw her on this live? That'll be encouraging to let us see what's going on. Michael's just had a parrot teleprompter delivered. Michael, we'll talk about that in the group. Definitely, that's brilliant. We're going to be doing a challenge on that real soon. Okay, now, thanks ever so much, Sarah. And thank you all. And guys, we're doing the same thing next week. If you've commented in here, or if you put a comment in here, then I'll just send you an invite that you can get on my little VIP waitlist, if you like, so that we'll notify you whenever the lives are coming up next time. And we'll just give you a heads up and send you a notification out just before we go live so you don't miss it. So that's all you're getting sent on now. It's nothing spammy, but if you just want notifications on these ongoing weekly lives, then just put any comment you like in there or say yes. And hopefully, if my little bot works, you should get a reminder for that. But thanks ever so much, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you, Sarah.
All right. Have a great one, guys. Thank you so much.
All.